Hello and welcome back to Today in the NBA, where today I'm going to be going over the Dallas Mavericks last regular season, postseason, their off-season, what they've done in free agency, and looking at some possible season outcomes for them next year. Now to start off, last season the Mavericks finished as the 11th seed in the West with a record of 38-44. They were an interesting team before Kyrie Irving got there. I think they were hanging around the 6th seed, but I think it was around the trade deadline, maybe a week or so before. Kyrie Irving requested out of Brooklyn and the Mavericks made the move to pick him up. They sent over a few players, nothing really major, but they did end up giving up Dorian Finney-Smith and I think a pick. Pretty solid value for Kyrie Irving, but they did manage to re-sign him, so if you ask me, it was all worth it. After that, however, they fell off quite hard, which was quite surprising, seeing as Luka Doncic finally got a second star to play alongside him. The problem was their defense, however. They were just not good defensively. They couldn't guard much, but not many teams could guard them. So it was really interesting watching them play. They were a fun team, but they were a hard team to watch and probably a hard team to be a fan for, just because of their poor defense. Now looking at the Mavericks depth chart for this coming season, they've definitely fixed a lot of those defensive holes. Starting, we have Luka Doncic, Kyrie Irving, Tim Hardaway Jr., Grant Williams and Dwight Powell, and off the bench we have Jaden Hardy, Seth Curry, Josh Green and Maxi Kleber. The real thing we have to look at though is who they've got as their third string. They've got Dante Exum, Oliver Maxence-Prosper and Derek Lively. Omax and Derek Lively were both Mavericks first round picks last year. I think Derek Lively was the 10th overall pick and Omax was the 22nd or something like that. Dante Exum, he was a player that was out of the league just because he couldn't score. He's a great defender, he's a pretty solid passer, not elite by any means, but hopefully he does get a good chance with the Mavericks and he does come away looking even better than he did before. For the starters, we can definitely see some good defensive improvements with Grant Williams, who's a great defender. He is a little bit smaller though, and he is playing the power forward. I think he's only 6'6", but he's very strong and he plays much bigger than he is. So hopefully that won't be a problem. Tim Hardaway Jr., solid defender. Dwight Powell, probably not an elite defender, probably only average as a rim protector and definitely below average on the perimeter, but still he's a solid player. The real thing with the Mavericks lineup though is going to be their offense. Luka Doncic and Kyrie Irving are definitely good enough to at least be a top 5 offense in the league, but I think with the additions of Grant Williams and Tim Hardaway Jr., both players that can definitely shoot the ball very well, then hopefully this lineup could get to best in the league, which is what I have predicted for them actually. First in the league in their offensive rating. Dwight Powell, he's a really good roller, he's a pretty solid finisher around the rim and a great screen setter, so that'll be great for the Luka Doncic and Kyrie Irving pick and rolls. Now off the bench, we've definitely seen the Mavericks improve their depth quite well. They've got Jaden Hardy running the backup point guard. I think he was a second round pick last year, 38th overall I want to say, not 100% sure though, and he's a great scorer. He's someone that can shoot, someone that can hit shots from mid-range, get to the rim, he can run a pick and roll. He's not a great playmaker by any means, but I think they have more than enough playmaking on this roster with Luka and Kyrie. He's definitely a solid player, and I think he's going to be getting even better this year. Seth Curry, absolutely elite shooter, off the catch, off the pick and roll, off the pick and pop. Who knows, it could be some Luka Doncic or Kyrie Irving and Seth Curry pick and roll, so it would definitely be interesting to see. Now Josh Green, another pretty solid shooter. I think he was 38% from 3 last year, but the real thing with Josh Green is how he attacks off screens and off the catch and shoot. He can run a screen, he's a capable ball handler, but you probably don't want him running too many screens in a game. Off the catch though, he's great. He can make the next move, make the next pass, or he can pump fake, get into a sidestep 3, or he can pump fake and get into a drive. He's a pretty solid finisher and he is very athletic. Hopefully we do see him develop even more this summer. Now we have Maxi Kleber. He's a pretty good shooter and probably the Mavericks' best perimeter defender outside of Grant Williams and Josh Green, which is quite surprising considering he is 6'10". He isn't a great rim protector though. He's not really big enough or athletic enough to be a positive on that end, and he does foul a bit, but his real thing is his shooting. If the Mavericks want to run a lineup with him at the 5, I think that could definitely be the best offensive lineup in the league by quite a solid margin. 3 shooters, Luka Doncic and Kyrie Irving, will be absolutely impossible to guard. And finally, rounding out the Mavericks bench, we have Richaun Holmes, who played his last season in Sacramento, where the Mavericks traded for him for taking on I think his contract it was. He's a solid player. He's probably not worth his money, which I think is about 12 million a year, could be 14, not 100% sure. But he has a solid post game. He's got pretty nice post push shot sort of hook thing. It's pretty good. You probably don't want him getting too many touches, but if he does have a mismatch in the post, he's definitely going to be able to capitalize and score on that. He's probably an average rim protector, not a great perimeter defender. Solid in his pick and rolls. He's actually a really, really good pick and roll finisher. So it would be interesting to see how he goes next season. Hopefully he is better than what he was with Sacramento. Now, Oliver Maxence Prosper and Derek Lively. They are definitely younger players and they're probably going to see a lot of G League run earlier on in their careers. But hopefully they do impress. I'm sort of looking at Derek Lively more as the G League player. He's a younger player. He is going to have to stay in the G League longer, as rookie bigs do generally find it harder to find time on an NBA floor just due to the increased physicality, size, speed, and everything. Derek Lively did show in his pre-draft workouts that he could shoot, and hopefully he does bring some of that to the table here over in Dallas. Now, the other rookie, Oliver Maxence Prosper, or Omax, is a pretty solid player. He was taken with, I think, the 22nd overall pick. Yet again, not 100% sure, but he was taken for his defense. He's older. I think he might be 21 or 22, but he's a great defender. He's pretty good at navigating the pick and roll on the defensive end, and pretty good at fighting over screens, getting under screens. He's got good defensive instincts. He is a rookie though, so it does just remain to be seen how well he goes up against NBA competition. He does have a budding offensive game, and he's probably not going to get a lot of run, but he might get maybe 8 minutes at the end of the bench, or will definitely get thrown in garbage time if he's not down in the G League. Now for the Mavericks off-season rating, I'm going to be giving them an A+. I really liked the Derek Lively pick. It was who I predicted they should be taking, but I had them taking him at 10th. What the Mavericks did was they traded back with the Thunder. I think they might have got some seconds, maybe a player. I'm not really sure what the package was, but they traded back for the 12th pick and managed to get him there. I think that this was a great trade, trading back and still managing to get the player that they wanted. Oliver Maxence Prosper, great pick. I love the fact that the Mavericks took on the Rashawn Holmes contract in exchange for the 22nd overall pick. I think Omax is definitely someone that is going to be able to come in, impact winning, maybe not straight away, but definitely later on down in the future. And he definitely helps out with the Mavericks' future, who before this season, the only real bright spot looked like Luka Doncic. I absolutely loved the Kyrie Irving signing. I think it was great that they managed to get him back for 3 more years, and it wasn't even on a max contract. The thing with when they traded for him was no one thought he would re-sign with the Mavericks, but I'm pleasantly surprised that he did. I'm really happy. I don't know what went on there, but clearly Kyrie Irving was happy with the situation. He did get a lot of money, but not as much as we thought. We all thought that he was going to be fishing for that max, but he didn't even end up getting it, which I think is amazing. He's even getting paid less than Fred VanVleet. Another signing I loved was the Grant Williams signing. He's great because he brings not necessarily some more size, but a bigger presence, some shooting, and some good defense, which is definitely what they lacked. Being able to bring in a defensive-minded player who's still a very capable shooter was absolutely great for the Mavericks. Now, the Mavericks' final free agency signing was Seth Curry, who did play with them in the past. I think it wasn't last year, not the year before, but the year before that. So what, the 2020-2021 NBA season? He's a great shooter. He can definitely run a pick and roll. He's great off ball screens and even better off dribble handoffs. I'd love to see some handoffs with him and Derek Lively. That would be very fun to watch. He's not necessarily too old, but he's not young either. I think he's 30. He's a great player, great shooter, probably a little bit below average perimeter defender, but he's a capable passer, and hopefully he's going to come in and make a big impact on the Maverick. Now, one thing I have decided is that I'm not going to be doing any more season predictions. I'm going to put them all together in 2 videos, one for the East and one for the West, and they'll all be out after I've done all of the season previews. Anyway, that does it for today's video. Thank you all for watching. Hope you enjoyed. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to leave it a like. Let me know what you think down in the comments below. How do you think Derek Lively, Omax are going to go? Do you think that maybe Dante Exum's going to be good, make an NBA comeback? Who knows? If you really enjoyed the video, please consider subscribing. I do post daily NBA content, so it is worth keeping up to date on. Anyway, thank you all for watching, and I'll see you all in the next one.